My name is Terrence Henry. I'm the Executive Director of TAMEST, the Texas Academy of Medicine, Engineering, Science, and Technology. And we appreciate you joining us today and the time and effort that goes into submitting nominations for the Edith and Peter O'Donnell Awards. We know these are very competitive awards, so we hope this session can help provide some information that will help guide you as you're putting together your nominations. Before we begin, just like to say a couple words about TAMEST and what we do. We're a statewide society that supports collaboration to advance research, innovation, human talent development, and business in Texas. TAMEST is composed of the more than 340 Texas-based members of the three national academies. That's the National Academy of Medicine, National Academy of Engineering, and National Academy of Sciences, as well as other honorary societies, and the state's 9 Nobel laureates. You can learn more about our initiatives and our mission at our website, which is tamest.org. TAMEST is supported by over 20 research universities and medical centers that compose our TAMEST member institutions, and they are vital supporters of our organization. They help make this O'Donnell Awards program possible, so we'd like to take a moment to thank them for their ongoing support. Today, you'll be fortunate to hear from our chair of the O'Donnell Awards Committee, Dr. Oliver Mullins. He's going to give you some history and background on the awards. Dr. Mullins is an SLB fellow at SLB, which is formerly Schlumberger, and a member of the National Academy of Engineering. He has also previously served as the Technology Innovation Subcommittee Chair. After that, our TAMEST Program Officer, Stephanie Shaw, will review the nomination guidelines for the awards, as well as the eligibility requirements. And then we'll have some time for Q&A. So if you have questions, please feel free to raise your hand through Zoom once we get to the Q&A portion of the meeting, and we'll have some time to address those. You'll also be able to type your question into the chat box in Zoom if you prefer to do so. So with that, we'll turn it over to Dr. Oliver Mullins, the chair of the Edith and Peter O'Donnell Awards Committee. Thanks, Dr. Mullins.
Thank you, Terrence. Oliver, just call me Oliver. Just give you a little bit of a brief background from me, as I think it has a flavor of technology innovation. We developed borehole measurements in oil wells that enabled compositional evaluation of oil throughout the reservoirs. We developed the thermodynamics to evaluate these fluids, and with this, we developed a new technical discipline to account for the evolution of reservoir fluids over geologic time. So today, thank you for the participants for your interest in nominating a Texas researcher for this important award. The Edith and Peter O'Donnell Awards annually recognize rising star researchers who are addressing the essential role that science and technology play in society and whose work meets the highest standards of exemplary professional performance, creativity, and resourcefulness. The awards are named in honor of Edith and Peter O'Donnell, who were steadfast supporters of TAMEST since its inception and incredible advocates for excellence in education and research. Established in 2006, the O'Donnell Awards acknowledge outstanding achievements by Texas-based researchers in 5 categories: medicine, engineering, biological sciences, physical sciences, and technology innovation. The Technology Innovation Award was added in 2008 to recognize individuals and research teams from non-academic institutions who have made a major innovative technological discovery with potential for making a positive impact on society. Nominees for technology innovation should come from non-academic organizations. To date, there have been 72 recipients of the O'Donnell Awards, and 15 recipients have been elected to the national academies. 3 have been elected to multiple national academies. Recipients of the awards each receive a medal that has a distinct pattern reflective of the discipline, a $25,000 honorarium, and the opportunity to present at TAMEST annual conference. The awards are presented to the recipients at the O'Donnell Awards dinner, which takes place on the evening of the second day of the TAMEST annual conference. TAMEST 2024 annual conference will be held February 5 through 7, 2024 at the AT&T Center in Austin. More details will become available as plans progress. The awards committee is composed of a committee chair and 15 TAMEST members, each serving a 3-year term. There are 5 subcommittees, each representing one of the 5 award categories: medicine, engineering, biological science, physical science, and technology innovation. Subcommittees select finalists to advance to the external review stage, where National Academies members outside of Texas review the finalist materials and submit their comments. The Technology Innovation Subcommittee conducts its own site visits for the selected finalists. After a thorough review of the candidates, the awards committee recommends awards recipients to be submitted to the Nobel Laureates Committee. The Nobel Laureates Committee reviews the recommended recipients and submits their endorsement to the TAMEST Board of Directors for the final approval. Let's now look at what the Technology Innovation Subcommittee is looking for in successful nominations. The intent of the Technology Innovation Award is to recognize individuals in applied sciences and engineering from non-academic institutions who have made significant new developments that have the potential for making a positive impact on society. An individual can be nominated for a single technological innovation or for accomplishments that have led to significant new technological innovations. The individual nominated may have functioned either as the driving force or creator of the technological innovation, or they may have led the team which created the technological innovation. We are looking for nominees that have led innovation and implementation in their science or technology, and their product has been developed into a commercial product. It must be demonstrating initial or full commercial success. The scientific advances should be incorporated into a formal undertaking that produces commercial products, engineering methodologies, and/or technical services having significant social benefits. It's important to note that these nominees are different from those of the academic O'Donnell Awards because they are from non-academic institutions or research institutions. Nominees who have made such a major technological innovation while employed in an industry environment, but who may now hold an academic appointment will not be excluded. These nominees must be within 25 years from their first full-time industry-affiliated position. The 250-word summary is very important. There is a diverse group of expertise of the members on each subcommittee. It is worth spending the time on the summary being concise and clear when writing them. You need to describe the invention to non-experts. You need to describe and validate the importance of the invention to non-experts. And you need to document the successful implementation of the discovery. The committee looks very closely at the nominee biographical sketch to better understand their accomplishments. The 3 letters of support are very important as well. We look at who the authors are and the relationship to the candidate. Do the writers know the candidates personally or by reputation? Is the writer a valid judge as to the impact of the invention? This comes out in the letters, often directly or indirectly. We don't award in specific areas each year. The actual area of work does not change if someone won the award in that particular area in a previous year, as long as the current candidate is the most meritorious of the recipients. The work of the recipients has ranged from wound care to oil spill work to nanoscale manufacturing and beyond. For example, last year's winner led the development of a major new service in oil well logging that had immediate impact globally, as validated by high-profile applications of the product on many continents. I'll now hand this over to Stephanie Shaw to discuss guidelines and eligibility requirements. Thank you.
Thank you, Oliver. My name is Stephanie Shaw, and I'm the program officer here at TAMEST. With the Technology Innovation Awards, nomination guidelines include that the nominators may only choose the technology innovation category for this award. For research teams, they may be nominated. However, there must be one individual of the team that has functioned as the driving force or the leader of the group that created the innovation. Eligible nominators include TAMEST members, past O'Donnell Awards recipients, industry executives, administrators, managers and supervisors, university presidents, chancellors, provosts, deans, department chairs, and vice presidents for research. All nominees will be automatically renominated for the following 2 years after their initial nomination, as long as the nominees still meet all eligibility requirements. If a nominator would like to withdraw a nomination, they may contact the TAMEST office. We do recommend updating the nomination application for renominations to share anything new from the year since the original nomination. And I send out emails to everyone, every nominator that has a nominee that's eligible for renomination, and allow them to update the packet. Eligibility requirements include the following criteria. Nominees must be within 25 years from their first full-time industry-affiliated position at the time the awards are given at the conference in February of 2024. Nominees must have been continually employed in the state of Texas for the past 2 years at the time the nomination is made. Candidates having significant discoveries, inventions, or advancements that have not also accomplished a successful application stage will not be eligible for this award, and TAMEST members are not eligible. When we look at the timeline for this year, the call for nominations opened in February, and the deadline for submission of nominations is April 30th. In June, each subcommittee will meet to review and discuss the nominations in their category and determine the candidates that will move forward to the next step of review. The full awards committee will also meet in June to discuss the candidates that will move forward to the next step of the process, which for technology innovation includes an in-person or virtual site visit to the nominee's organization. In August, the full awards committee meets to discuss the external reviewers' input and the site visit information for technology innovation nominees, and they make their final recommendation for the award finalists. In August, the finalists submitted to the Nobel Laureate Committee will be reviewed and have stamp of approval, and then they will be submitted to the TAMEST Board of Directors for final approval. The award recipients are notified along with their nominators in October, and nominators of candidates who are not selected will be notified at this time. In January, the award recipients will be announced. Nomination guides, eligibility requirements, application forms, and frequently asked questions are accessible on the TAMEST website at tamest.org/O'Donnell-awards. I'll now turn it back over to Terrence Henry to moderate the Q&A for today's session.
Thanks, Stephanie, and thanks, Oliver. We're again glad y'all could be with us and have this opportunity to ask some questions of the committee and get more information on the awards. So what we'll do is, if you want to raise your hand through Zoom, we can call on you, and just as a reminder to introduce yourself at the beginning of your question, and then we'll go from there. So Himani Agrawal, we can start with you. You have your hand raised. Thank you.
Oh, okay. I forgot that I have to unmute myself, but thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Oliver and Stephanie, for the wonderful overview. My name is Himani Agrawal. I am a senior data science manager at Walmart Global Tech, currently leading applied machine learning teams in the area of retail, omni-retail tech organization at Walmart. My question is, when I look at the last, several of last year's award winners, I see them mostly in the oil and gas space. I wonder if my area of work, which is applied machine learning, very applied work, but albeit in the area of applied machine learning, big data, is that eligible for this particular award?
Great question. Oliver, you're muted and we'll have you
Muted. Sorry
answer
about
this
that.
one. Thank you.
Yes, sure. Yes, definitely. That is an area. Data analytics is having a huge impact. You noted that there was a lot of oil and gas, very diverse, really. Some of it was dealing with CO2 issues and others on efficiency and production. And if you look at the long list of the TI awardees, there are several oil and gas awards in there. You could say, well, Houston is the center of the world's oil and gas industry. At least we think we are. And so there's been a lot of effort by many different companies in this arena in Houston, in Texas. But nevertheless, there are a lot of other activities going on which have a commercial focus as opposed to a research focus. All of those areas are certainly eligible. And I think with the role of big data, I think it's a very viable concept. And then of course, there will be an examination, as always, about the contribution of the particular candidate. What was the role of the candidate in the contribution, the technical contribution? And secondly, how important is that technical contribution? And the way to frame a successful nomination is to clarify to non-expert, non-data scientists, what is the important discovery or invention here? I always like independent validation, for example, patents or other awards or some sort of citation. Sometimes there are papers, or in the case last year, for example, it was fairly easy for that candidate because the service was run offshore, which is a high tier market. Probably 5 continents by the time he won the award. And so it was pretty easy to say this is important. And then it was fairly simple also to say his role. And I'll just also state that candidate won in his second year, not his first. And so just to address, some people may wonder, it is worthwhile to continue this nomination process if you don't win year one, and also to update the nomination with new developments. But certainly data analytics is in play with that. Try to make that clear.
Thank you so much. I have a follow-up question, if that's okay, if I may ask.
Sure.
Yes, please. Yes.
So in my case, the proof of commercialization is the cost savings. In my case, it's like hundreds of millions of cost savings, precisely 300 million cost savings that the productionized models had for Walmart. So, and those can be documented via letters from industry executives, from my bosses. Is that sufficient, or like, do you need, I don't have any white papers.
Well, so it's an interesting issue. There was an awardee that won this award that the primary application was in cost savings on that order of magnitude, hundreds of millions of dollars, which could be documented. And the award was the approach was very innovative. It changed the way the industry was operating in the last, well, decades at least. And so with that change in application, the cost savings were realized, but the company was not claiming revenue from the service. It was claiming cost savings. That was definitely sufficient for the TI committee, which I was head of at that time, Technology Innovation Committee. So yes, the issue always is to make it credible. As you know, working in industry, you have to justify over and over again why you are using resources of the company, and that's always embedded in justifying the role, the importance of the role that you play in your organization. And that same kind of justification, even if possible stronger, needs to be made to the TI committee.
Got it. Got it. And can nominator provide a recommendation letter as well?
That's a very good question. Normally, I would say we generally have a limit of 3 letters. To have a nominator that's independent of the 3 letters is kind of a 4th letter snuck in, if you will. And so I would say if it has to be, it can be. I don't think there's a violation of policy like that, but at the same time, it's preferable. I mean, I'll just give you an example because I nominated a person who eventually won. And the letters that I was using, head of engineering, Schlumberger, and he pointed out that this is one of the largest engineering projects ever in Schlumberger. And we're a big company. So that's the kind of letter I wanted, not, gee, I know this guy really well and he's great. Those types of letters, that's more from the nominator, I would say. And then what you want is letters that are from more independent senior people who can make statements that are independently justifiable that this is an appropriate awardee.
I see.
Now the nomination, the 250 word description should clarify the role of the candidate in the development. You have 2 functions primarily: is that how important is the invention, and what was the role of the nominee in that invention. Those are, and then the importance really breaks out into both a commercial side, like it's being used a lot, but also on an innovation side, that you're using something that is novel and homegrown and has really evolved into something important. So you have these different tasks in the nomination. And I would say normally the nominator is managing the 250 word summary, and the letters of recommendation are to add weight and validation that the claims being made in the summary are correct.
I see. In my case, the technology that has been commercialized is currently in production at Walmart, and we don't release our technology to our to other retailers.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Like I say, the recent awardee had exactly that scenario where the primary use of the technology to save money was the company that employed him for a long time. That's not a problem. What is an issue that should be taken very seriously is the statement, a statement from that organization at very high level that that validates the claim that this is saving, for example, hundreds of millions.
Okay.
How are those numbers? It is very helpful if that savings can be quantified. The more quantification, the less judgment is required by non-experts in the awards committee. And so it would help that process.
Got it. So the 3 letters, should they be from the same organization, or do you prefer from?
They can be basically they can be from any organization. For example, just to for example, if the technological innovation has been made public, if you had an expert in that discipline state that this is really novel, that the development that is being used internally is dependent upon a novel technology, and that there's an expert in that discipline, then that would be an excellent type of letter to incorporate. That letter would not be saying how much money it's saving your organization, but that letter would be validating that the development is really important, and from a scientific or engineering standpoint.
I see. And currently we are filing a patent, so that's why it's not public yet, and patent takes a long time to get approved. So
yeah, that's there are many ways to document. Normally, right, if it's very recent, you can look at the evolution of patents. I mean, it's kind of a little funny stories. I'm #1 in patents in Schlumberger, but my boss had more important patents because his patents won us hundreds of millions of dollars. So if he had been young enough, he would, but the point is that it's not the number or something. It's that the organization's following through on this. It might not be just one patent. There might be several, or trying to protect an area, whatever. But that is a manifestation of, but not the only manifestation, that this is an important development for the organization.
Got it. Thank you.
You just try to, you think, basically you play devil's advocate. How can they shoot down this nomination? What is the weak part? How can I address that in the nomination package? I mean, that's what I always do when I try to help people get promoted or something, is to play devil's advocate. What's the weak part? How can somebody challenge this? And again, assuming that they're not going to be expert enough to evaluate the technology themselves. They need guidance on that. That's always the case. So that's how you approach this thing.
Thank you.
Thanks for your questions. We have time for some more questions. If you'd like to either type your question in the chat box in Zoom, or just unmute yourself. We have a relatively small group today, so should have time for everyone's questions.
Hi, I have a quick question. I have someone I'd like to nominate, but the question I have is whether or not they're eligible. So they are at a startup and they've been there for a number of years, under 5, but they're also an adjunct faculty at a university.
There's no problem there.
There's no problem.
I mean, I'm going to say no problem. I'm an adjunct at one of the universities, and the primary way to become an adjunct, they sent me a letter. Have I been convicted of a felony?
Right.
And I wrote back, convicted? No.
Okay, good.
I'm kind of being facetious, but the point is, adjunct faculty is really not the primary focal point typically, if somebody is pursuing something. So that would not be, I'd say the only issue would be if the development was all at the university and of a researchy nature.
Well, so they used to be faculty at a university. They stopped being faculty at university to start the company, but now they are back as an adjunct. The technology is a spin out based on research and IP from the university.
Yeah.
Any issues with that? Shouldn't be, right? I mean, they're just an adjunct.
I don't think there's a problem there, actually, personally, because you really look at the mission statement of universities. This is outside their mission statement to launch. I mean, they encourage people to launch businesses, but I think it would be under that if the development. It's a good question.
All the development is at the company. So
yeah,
it's commercialized,
then
there's
shape.
Product, it's in the field, it's licensed IP from the university, the original research.
I don't see a problem. I don't see a problem there myself. I mean, I have to be careful. We have experts on the awards stipulations. Personally, I don't see a problem there. It would only be if somebody's running the company with graduate students and
no.
yeah. You know what I mean.
This is a real company. Real company.
Right. No, that sounds quite good.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure with the tie back to the academic part that's all clear.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay.
Especially the 5-year duration. That helps separate the university. And adjunct, like I said, is really not like a normal professorship. They're very different roles in universities. Yeah.
All right. I think that was it. That was my one potential gotcha.
Good. Yeah, right. Exactly. Exactly. Oh, sounds good.
Great. Thank you for the question. Are there any other questions from the group?
Oh, yeah, the recommendation or the letters of support from external people, that's supposed to come in independently. So have you gotten into situations where those letters didn't come in on the deadline, but a wee bit later? Is that like an issue? Because, you know, there's only so much control one has about.
I
nudging
know that's
people.
that is always the dilemma. And so far, I will have to defer to Stephanie whether we accept post-deadline recommendations that are slightly over. I mean, I've had exactly this issue because you like to get letters from the people using the product in addition to the people who developed it or had oversight and know the importance of it, but the end user, and they don't really think about writing letters of recommendation when they're using some service or product. So it is a problem. I would just encourage you to make them get it in on time so we don't face that dilemma.
And in the nomination, there's a spot for you to write the names and the contact information for the people who you're soliciting the letters from. And if I haven't received them, I'll reach out and remind them. And we will accept a little bit after if they come in. We want to make sure everybody's packet is as full as possible.
Okay, good. That's good to hear. You'll nudge too. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a problem that some people say they'll do it and they just don't get around to it, and they're really dissociated from the activity, or they may not even know the inventor. They know the product. This is one of the issues in the industry.
Yeah.
So it gets kind of they don't have a personal connection, and then that makes it more difficult to motivate them to get things in on time.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll just add that receiving the letters by the deadline is really helpful for Stephanie and others on the TAMEST team so that we can process the nominations and prepare them for the subcommittees to review, particularly given that it's a highly competitive award and we see a strong number of submissions, which we love to see. Having that time to adequately prepare the materials for the committee is really important. So would strongly encourage everyone to get their materials in on time. And as Stephanie mentioned, there is a ability to enter the information of the letter writers so that we can do additional follow-ups where need be. All right.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay.
So, sure. Go ahead.
Apart from my work at Walmart, I also work on the side, work in the area of responsible AI. There's a nonprofit partnership on AI, which partners with various tech companies and performs research on making AI more responsible. So I published a paper in the area of responsible healthcare AI. I was wondering, that doesn't have any revenue impact, but it's more towards making AI more responsible. So can I include something like that on the side that, you know, it's not.
Well, I would say that we have mostly the awardees have contribution in multiple areas in all of the different disciplines. And as was emphasized on the academic awardees, and I would say here as well, you really don't want a laundry list of the different areas that somebody may have worked in. Instead, what you want is a focal point of a new innovation or new invention or development itself, which is having impact. So as was explained earlier in the academic side, they don't really count papers. They look at the most impactful papers as opposed to counting the number of papers. So in the same way, I would encourage not to say, I've tried this, I tried that, I tried the other thing, maybe this will help, maybe that's not as going to be as successful an application as saying we did this and this is the impact. It was significant. It was a new development. We employed these new things, as opposed to saying, well, we've looked at 10 different areas, and we had some impact in each, but that's not really the objective of O'Donnell awardees.
Got it. That's very helpful. Thank you.
Great. So great questions. We have time for one or two more if there's any additional questions from the group. All right, well, if you have questions that come up later, we encourage you to reach out to Stephanie Shaw, our program officer. She's available as a resource as you're moving forward with your nominations. Thanks again for all of you for joining us today, and for Oliver Mullins for conducting the session and for chairing the O'Donnell Awards Committee. Really appreciate the volunteer service of you and others on the committee to help us select these recipients. Hope you found today's session helpful. We're going to have video and slides up on our website, which is tamest.org. And you'll also receive links to those in a follow-up email. As a reminder, the deadline for nominations for the 2024 Edith and Peter O'Donnell Awards is April 30th, 2023. We'd also like to invite everyone to join us in May 2023 for our TAMEST annual conference, where we're going to feature research from the 2023 Edith and Peter O'Donnell Award recipients. And we're also going to take a look at some of the game-changing science and research that is leading to big transitions in society. So the program will cover CRISPR gene editing, big data science, renewable energy, and decarbonization. And the evening of May 24th, we'll have a special O'Donnell Awards ceremony and dinner to celebrate and honor the 2023 recipients. It takes place May 23rd to the 25th at the Intercontinental Medical Center, which is at EMC in Houston. And TAMEST members and faculty at TAMEST member institutions receive a special discounted rate. And we also invite everyone from the research community to join us for the meeting. So you can find out more information on that also on our website. And you will receive a link with some registration information for the conference in the follow-up email for attending the session. That concludes the session for today. As a reminder, the deadline is April 30th, 2023, and please reach out to our program officer, Stephanie Shaw, with additional questions. We look forward to your nominations, and thanks again for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.